Welcome to Change, produced by the Senior Bond of Schaumburg, where nutritious meals, friendly peers, and social activities are available every day of the week. Under the able direction of Marina Lvovich, the cost and location are available to all. And we seniors meet monthly as a panel to discuss events that have happened in the past, near past, present, with a look towards the future. Today our program is on water, old-fashioned fun, swimming, and water sports. I'd like to introduce our panel. I'd like to welcome Bonnie Carlin back to Change. She was a former moderator of the program, therefore you're an old-timer.
Well, thank you.
She was born in Chicago and has lived in the Schaumburg area for 38 years with 2 children, 2 grandchildren, and is a former advertising and marketing person. Very good. We have a variety here today.
Yes.
And we have Don Marcel. He's a snowbird, recently back from Arizona, but was born in Chicago and has lived in California and Arizona. He's been a resident in the general area here for the past 40 years. 3 children, 6 grandchildren, and here, 4 great-grandchildren. You don't look that old. He's a former paint store owner and a jack of all in that trade. We have Cecilia Klinowski, born in Chicago, lived in Colorado and Wisconsin, but in the area for 35 years now. Very good. You have 5 children, 11 grandchildren, 1 great-grand. She's going to catch up. And her former occupation was a real estate broker. And I am Lori Candle. I've lived in the area maybe now for about 45 years, born in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, wow.
I have 2 children, 2 grandchildren, 4 grand dogs, 1 grand horse, and I'm on my way. So we have a variety of people here today, but our topic today is water. And the Earth is composed of approximately 70% water. However, only about 4% is available for human consumption. It's difficult to imagine where places are that haven't any water and it cannot be found. The causes may be weather-related, various terrains in an unusual forms, such as deserts, glaciers, or just plain contamination. Water is available, yes, but not always where it is needed in a drinkable state. Yes, water is recyclable, and through the water cycle, it is replenished. Water is a necessity of life for us. Our body uses water in all its cells, in all its organs, and in all its tissues. Without it, our body would dehydrate and all its functions would stop. Without it, we would not be able to continue to live. Without it, we would die within a few days, if not a few hours, in the right place. We have received much information as we've grown. Still, many of us take water for granted. We live in an area where access to the fresh water of the Great Lakes is available to us. We use it daily for healthful reasons and also for enjoyment. We give little thought to its conservation or to the parts of the world that have little or none. Facts do speak loudly. While we're going to talk mainly about recreation involving water, let's not lose sight of our duty to conserve and protect it. We know the importance of water in our life. It is a necessity as well as a source of fun. We can't do without either. But let's take a look at the latter. As a child, now dig back in your memories, what are some of your earliest memories of water at home, in the backyard, or any personal happenings? Can you think of anything that you'd like to share? Don.
Well, as a child, my mother used to take me to the Oak Street Beach in the summer whenever the weather was nice, and by the time the summer was over, I was like brown as a walnut. You know?
Now.
And I remember how much fun it was to go in the big waves. I liked it when it was, you know, windy a little bit, and the waves would be about 2 or 3 feet high.
Wow.
And it would just, the force of it would just, it was just exhilarating.
Just knock you over. Now, is there anything in the backyard that you can think of or around your home that you did?
We were allowed to have the sprinkler. I have 9 brothers and sisters, so it was a very busy household. And so it was a joy, though, to be able to walk over to the Park District to go to the pool.
Okay.
And occasionally we'd go take 2 buses and go to Lake Michigan and go swimming in the big water. But that was a real treat.
Yeah, now, both of you from Chicago over here, did anybody have any of these water hydrant situations?
Oh, yes.
You did? Tell us
in our
about it.
neighborhood, when it got hot, the kids would open the fire hydrants and actually stand in the water doing that. It's something you don't see anymore, you know, thankfully.
What happened? Did the police come to shut it off?
Oh, they'd come
Yeah,
to
they would
shut
come
it off.
eventually.
Yeah, but the kids, they would do that when it was hot because we didn't have swimming pools, you know, like people do in their yards nowadays, inflatable, you know, they had maybe the little
Pools.
ones. So you did anything to keep cool when it was really hot outside.
Oh, yeah, right. But mostly it was the hose.
Yes. But we were very
The hose.
young. We used to take the hose out and squirt each other and run around in the yard.
Right. Did
Yeah.
your parents let you go out in the rain at any time and to get wet?
Run
Recall
in the
that.
puddles, jump in the puddles.
Because I know I used to like to want to go out in the rain, but my grandmother wouldn't let me. And it was only as I got older, thunder and lightning.
Yes.
Oh.
So, you know, when you get older, you
Yes.
get a little bit more common sense. Is there anything that you did as a kid around the home that you would not suggest that your kids do today?
I used to ice skate in the side street. My sister,
In
I
the
told,
summer?
No, not in the summer, I'm sorry, in the winter. I would ice skate in the street.
Oh, well, how about that?
But they didn't snow plow and stuff like that on the side streets in the city.
Well, thank goodness. I was beginning to think that we had a blizzard or something in the middle of July here.
I'm sorry.
No, that would, but probably, did you go roller skating in the street?
No, not
not
when
at all.
we were allowed.
You did,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
with the
did.
4 wheels.
Oh, the 4 wheels, yes.
Okay.
We used to
you-
take the roller skate apart and nail it to a 2x4 and nail a box on top of the 2x4, and that was our push cart.
Oh, how nice.
Yes, how about, and in the
Yes.
street, not on the side.
No,
street,
no,
yeah.
on the street.
Yes, okay. Well, bathtubs, pools, water to me is very essential part of being grounded and sensual and feeling yourself. We're going to take a short break and we'll come back again. Well, back to our swimming days. Before or during the early days of air conditioning, when the days became too hot and muggy, many of us escaped to the beach or to the pool to refresh ourselves. Now, you mentioned you went to Lake Michigan. Have any of you ever been to a river or the ocean, and how would you compare them to a pool and a lake?
I was in the ocean because I was in Florida, and I decided to swim, and I found out that the buoyancy is much greater in the ocean than it is in a freshwater lake because you have the salt, and it tends to hold you up better.
Right, and the sand pulls you down.
Yes, it does. And also you have to be careful of the crabs on the beach, too.
Oh, yes, and the jellyfish in the water.
Oh, yes.
I was born up on the coast in New York, so I
Oh,
know all
yes.
those things. Well, what about you, Don? Have you had any experience?
On the ocean,
Ocean, river, lake?
Oh,
yeah, I went scuba diving in the Caribbean. You know, it was a resort type scuba diving
Okay.
wow.
venture. other than the pool, at the YMCA, that's where I'd go swim in the summer, yeah.
And winter too, because
Well, you could go in the winter, yeah,
Yeah.
but it was so cold in there. We had to swim without any suits, and it was like, I would be shivering.
through high school, that was it. The boys, you couldn't go near the pool when they were in.
Of going to Lake Michigan was a real treat, taking the buses, 2 buses with my older sisters, and I was just learning to dive, so it was a place to practice.
Very good. My earliest memory of Lake Michigan was not the sandy beaches that we find at North Beach and in that particular area. It was the stones. If you went up further north, you had to walk on all those stones, and that took away the pleasure. Do you remember any of this?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. In fact, that was deep water right off those stones. It was deep water.
Yes.
And my brother almost drowned out there. He was in water pretty deep. And I saw him waving. And his friend, who was a lifeguard there, was chatting up a lady on the beach. And I saw him go down and come up, raise. So I brought it to his friend's attention. He went out there
and
saved him. He had caught a cramp. And yeah, that was a scary time.
situation.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
You better believe it. Now, all of you know how to swim. How did you learn, or where did you learn to swim?
When at the park district, the local park district,
Okay, you took lessons
they had
there.
lessons, and I don't really think there was a charge back then.
Right, yeah, a lot of things were free.
I mean, it was to walk over to the local park. It was 5 or 6 blocks away, so we always had to go with the older ones.
Right.
But it was a real treat to learn to swim and learn to dive.
How about you? Where did you learn?
YMCA? Yeah. There again, I almost drowned at the YMCA.
I think anybody that goes swimming with you better be careful.
That was before I learned how to swim.
Oh, okay.
And I jumped in over out of my depth.
Okay.
And
yeah.
a guy came, one of the supervisors, who happened to come into the pool, and he jumped in with his clothes and saved my life. And I remember seeing his pencils floating around in the water.
How about you? Where did you learn?
I learned in Lake Michigan, actually. Every year we'd go there. At the time, I didn't realize it was a family reunion because a lot of the members of my grandfather and grandmother's family came there. But my parents were excellent swimmers, so my dad taught me how to swim, and like Don said, with the waves, going up, that was not an easy chore.
And they have rip currents in Lake
Yes,
Michigan. Yeah, really. I know with us in Brooklyn, we could not graduate high school until we had a pool okay. Because of the surrounding waters, the rivers, the ocean, and everything. So that was mandatory for us. And I mean, I learned there the professional way, but I learned on my own with the ocean. Very nice. Do you have any favorite family memories about swim holidays?
Oh, we used to go. My sister had a neighbor that had a summer home right on the water in Cedar Lake, Michigan. And it was such a treat to bring the kids there because they'd get up before almost dawn and they would run out the door and there was the water and they weren't used to it, but it was really thrilling.
Water is an attractive nuisance for the kids, and you have to be so careful of them, and just thinking, getting up early in the morning and hoping that there was an adult around to supervise it. Any other interesting things?
Well, like I said, we would go to Union Pier, Michigan, and my uncle owned some cottages out there. He also had a vineyard. And we would run on the beach and we'd swim. I remember having blisters about this big before we realized that it was not too good to be burned out in the sun. But as a child, you didn't realize you were out that long.
Well, all of us that got burned with the sun, I mean, we're perfect candidates now for cancer, basal cell.
Yeah.
It really is kind of, interesting when you look back on that. We didn't take the precautions. What precautions would you suggest now for anybody going to the beach?
I would say to wear a very high sunscreen, preferably one that doesn't wash off in the water. And they do make those, you know.
Okay, not only sunscreen, what else would you put on?
Well, a hat, or sit under an umbrella for most of the time. I would allow only increments, 10-minute increments maybe in the sun.
Right, right.
Didn't have to worry about sunscreen. Those kids never sat down. They just kept going and going and going.
Oh, I know, but nowadays it's different.
Oh,
you see
yes.
them up. And I saw on a newscast just recently on some of the beaches, they're putting these little canisters of sunscreen where you can go up and slather
Really?
yourself
Very
with
nice.
them.
Right. Wow.
Because, it is, basically it's good for their health, but
Protective,
it's
yeah.
also good, for medicine. I mean, keep us cancer-free as we're going on. But there's so many restrictions that we do now. Do you think it takes away from the enjoyment of going to the beach and swimming and all those things? Or do you think it's just a part of life now?
I guess life has become more complicated now. There's much more to think about and worry about than when we were kids. It was like total freedom, and the summer lasted forever.
That is the truth. That is the truth. Well, they say believe in yourself, not only in swimming, but in life itself, as you've seen in several occasions, Don. You always have to have fun. You also have to have an open mind. If you're not enjoying it, don't do it. Life is too short, and a Debbie Miller said that. We'll take a short break and come right back for the continuation. Darrell Hammond said, "Our summer, that long anticipated stretch of lazy, lingering days, free of responsibility and rife with possibility. It's a time for hunt for insects," that's for kids. "Master handstands," again kids, but practice swimming strokes. We can all do that. "Conquer trees, explore nooks and crannies, and make new friends." But it's also a time just to sit and relax. And we always like to bring something new and different into our program. And this is a very refreshing vitamin lemon cucumber water, very easily made. In a pit, 4 ingredients. You mix in a pitcher 10 cups of water, 1 cucumber thinly sliced, and 1 lemon thinly sliced, and 1/4 a cup of freshly chopped basil leaf, 1/3 a cup of finely chopped mint leaves, and leave it in the refrigerator overnight before serving. And it's a cool, refreshing aid for a hot summer day. And if you buy the basil and parsley, what I do, I use what I need, but then I freeze the others so I'm ready for the next time around. And we'll all sample this at the end of the show. Okay, as we're going, memories continue to mount when we consider water. Perhaps it involves boating activities or water sports or cruises. Have you experienced any interesting water activities other than bathing and swimming?
I do water aerobics over at the Schaumburg Park District, the waterworks. And I find as you age and you get arthritic, that the water is your friend. It's the best thing for you. You don't need medication. If you do the water aerobics or swim or even walk in the water, it's like your body feels better.
That is so true, because I take advantage of that on several days during the week. How about you, Don?
Oh, in Arizona, I water walk quite often, 2 or 3 times a week. And I find it the same as you.
Did you have a pool in your backyard?
No, we have like 4 pools or 6 pools in the
okay, that
area
are
in the
available, yeah.
community.
Okay. And how about
I
you?
joined the Park District pool, the Schaumburg Park District pool 13 years ago, became a senior, and I got to do something. So I go 3 days a week and go to do my water aerobics and go in the hot tub, take a hot shower, and it just makes the day very enjoying.
Well, I find I do the same thing at Friendship Village, hot tub and swimming pool, and then when I'm finished, I want to go back to bed.
Do some water volleyball too, once in a while.
That's
In fact, they're
interesting.
playing it there this morning at 9:30.
Oh, nice.
So they have all kinds of water activities just at the Park District. Then you probably see Bonnie there
Yes, I
occasionally.
do.
That's where we became friends.
Yes.
Very, very nice. Very, very,
Very
nice.
nice.
Now, are there any water activities that are on your bucket list, like a cruise
Yes.
or something?
Water activities?
Yeah, well, that could be
I know I
boating,
got to start
cruising.
walking more, maybe.
What would you want to do, Cecilia?
Pardon me?
What would you want to do, Cecilia?
I really want to walk more.
Walk more in the water.
Well, yes.
Okay, okay.
See-
Because there's buoyancy in that, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, right, right.
Because I find myself walking up and down also. Have any of you any desires to go on cruises on the water?
Yes.
Have
I'd
you?
love to go to Hawaii. That's on my bucket list.
That's 4 or 5 days on the water.
I don't care.
You don't know you're on the water.
No, I love it.
I know.
It's like.
Have you gone on it?
A lot of cruises, yeah. I love cruises.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's-
one stop
That's what we got to
hotel.
do, Bon.
You and I.
Oh, God,
We're
I
going to
love
go
cruises.
to Hawaii.
The best cruise we ever took was through the Panama Canal, if you've ever taken it. You
nice.
take 13 and a half hours to get through the canal. But to see the canal, how it was built, that the United States built it and gave it to the Panamanians. One interesting fact about that is they can never sell it. If they want to get rid of it or can't take care of it, it reverts back to the United States.
Interesting.
And during
Okay.
2000, they tried to sell it. And it was like, oh my gosh, we were going to go on a cruise. I said, no, not if it was sold. So that it was held up.
That
but
is
it was,
very
and then the
interesting.
cruise went from actually the Europeans go and pick up the cruise, and they went through the Panama Canal up through San Francisco, where we got off to see my grandson, and then up to Alaska. But we had been up to Alaska, but it was a cruise of a lifetime.
I can well imagine. Probably
It
if
was
it's the whole thing, it would have been over a month.
To see it, you can stand on the deck and look out to see the wonders of this creation that the United States made is awesome. It is just, there is ships going both ways. Yeah. But I mean, you can't believe how you go through the different canals and the different sections of it.
Well, I think that's going to be on a bucket list of some
it-
people
it-
over
it-
here.
it was
I'd love
awesome.
to do that.
It was-
How about you? Have you been on any cruises?
Yeah, I've been on several, maybe about 5 or 6.
Okay, your
Yeah.
favorite?
Oh, the Caribbean, I think, is nice.
Okay.
Yeah. But my bucket list would be go to parasailing.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
No, thank you.
A boat pulling me
Count me
across the
out.
water. Yeah.
But it's fun watching.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love to watch.
That would be any bucket list for you?
Oh, that would be going to Hawaii.
Going to
Yeah,
Hawaii.
I've
and
always
yours
wanted
because-
to go.
Yeah. Well, I've been to Hawaii, but I flew over the ocean.
Oh,
Cecilia, you've had quite a list of things you've done already. There can't be too much ready for your bucket list.
No, there isn't, because I'm not able. I had my double knee surgery 8 years ago, and they want to redo it again. They've never been right, so
Yeah.
it's really held up a lot of our traveling.
I can see that.
It's
right.
hard being on a plane and sitting more than a half hour.
Right, right. Well, we've covered a lot of territory with water. I mean, from backyard to all over. And it's so interesting when you look at that. You brought up winter before, and one of my closing statements that I'd like to say is people don't notice whether it's winter or summer when they're happy. And may your summer be filled with all that makes you happy. And thank you so much for coming back, Bonnie, and Don for stepping in at the last minute, and Cecilia for arriving on time. God bless everyone, and please come to the barn and visit us. We have many activities taking place, delightful friends, delicious food, and camaraderie that you'll certainly enjoy and not be lonely. God bless everyone, and God bless you also.
Thank you very
for
much.
coming.